So. Righto, we didn't really do an intro tonight because big afternoon. Dennis got his boat flipped over and he's ready to go, and George was doing a bit of his own work, but he set me up. I'm allowed to do a bit more welding on my boat now that I've had a bit more practice. We had a good week off in the last week and a half, and then I'm back into it for 2 weeks or so. Yep. We're going to pump it out, see how much we can do. Yep. So yeah, big 2 weeks planned. A lot of stuff on my own while George does his own work. But tonight we started off, we welded the corners up on the lid. So welded them up, low amps and low wire. So I think the settings were about 80 and 15. Yeah, 80 and 15, and then just tack these in. What was that? That was about 110 and 5, I think we did, yeah. So I just want to talk you through some of the settings we're using. So if you're following along and you're doing the same sort of welding, this is a 3mm lid, and that's 4mm? No, 3mm. 3mm? Yeah. So this is, yeah, so just talking you through some of the settings we're using, because as a complete novice, I think it finds it helpful if you're looking at doing projects like this.
Timmy, you've got to let them know that if they're using a different machine, sound. What did I teach you about sound? So
yeah.
You can tell the difference between more wire and less wire.
Yeah. And then tonight, we jumped straight in. George is just in tacking the shelf out. So after he finished his work, he jumped in and quickly blew through all that. I jumped in and corner to corner welded all of the top, all of the channel into the floor. Looks a bit gunky, but there was some big holes we had to fill in the front here as well. So I had to tack the way we did that was, if you've got a big hole to fill, just little tacks like every 5-10 mil, and then weld across the top of it and fill that all in. So did all that, did the tops of where the gas struts go. So did all that too. So this will all get sanded back. We'll wait till tomorrow. I've got another job on the welder this afternoon, but yeah, did all the tops of the gas struts, did all around the gunnels there, and then finally did this. This one felt really good to weld. The machine was doing its job, and the sound was perfect. So had real fun doing that. And when we sand that off, that's going to look absolutely primo. Again, I think I was on 80 amps and still 27.
We're going to up the ante tonight. Timmy's going to weld out the console. I was going to do it, but I'm confident enough now that he's going to weld that out and weld it out really nicely. So we did a little practice run on a 4mm plate.
Yeah.
We mucked around with a few settings. I asked Timmy if he was happy with the settings, and he's happy. So he's going to do the fillet weld there. There's another fillet weld there on the screen for the sounders, 2 in the corners. The top we don't have to fully weld, we can just stitch it. Then he's got to weld this, the sounder top completely on. And that's a hard one to do even for me, because you only have 10mm there against the full plate. So it's going to test him, but I think he's up for the challenge.
Yeah, so the settings we've got for that is, I think we got it on 130 and 5. So again, if your machine's different, it's going to be a little bit different. But if you
buy Convex 205, then we've given you all the guidelines for the settings for this machine.
And so this is all 4mm.
All 4mm.
We were going to use 3mm, but we didn't have any, did we?
No, but better we use 4 anyway.
There you go.
So up in the press.
Yeah, looks good. Righto, we're going to get into it. Right. Well, it's been a little while since our last sort of go on the boat. We've actually done a lot since then. We sort of filmed it with the time-lapse camera because we didn't know how it was going to go down, so it was more, we sort of had to learn as we go. But the good thing about it is we made 2 of them for the boat. We're going to make 2 of them for the boat, so it's going to be easier to walk you through the second one now that we know what we're doing. Because it was sort of just winging it and making it look good as best we can. So I'll put you inside, give you a look. George is doing a great job of cleaning up.
Oh, every night after you.
Dennis in there working on his roof racks. Oh, it's 3.5 hours. We built a boat and Dennis put his roof racks on. So this is what we did last night and a bit of this afternoon. Last night we got the whole sort of thing done, and then we managed to get the door on it this afternoon and into the night. But our templates that we made for the other side actually work perfectly for this side, so it's going to make this one a lot easier. We're going to walk you through as we build this one now that we know what we're doing. But that's a template we made for our little side sheet. And what you do is you just line it up level with the guardrail there. So you got a nice level, gunnel, not guardrail. So you got a nice level thing. So what you do, put your level up, make sure it's level, draw a line across the step and up the wall, line it up. And what we did is we made it out of that MDF stuff. That's our first template. Our second template, we made same thing as doing the floor. You just put a bit of MDF down, get a packer, follow the boat, cut your boat line so it fits. So we've got that there, and then you again drop a level down while it's there, and you've got like heaps, probably like 150 mil of green. Drop your level down, and you just mark it level all the way along. Draw a straight line, and then cut it. So that's how we ended up making those two shapes.
And what that does when you look down on top of the gunnel, the rod locker is parallel to the gunnel. It's not sticking out or sticking into the boat like a lot of them do.
Yeah. So they were our two sheets. They're literally the only two pieces we needed. The third piece that you need for this bottom section, you just cut the width of a straight bar. So it's 4mm sheet. You cut it the width of the straight bar that we were using.
About 75mm.
75mm, and then we've just lopped off the ends to fit inside. Give you a look. We ended up putting these latches in this one, and we've got friction hinges on the bottom, so you don't actually have to hold it open. It can sit at any stage, which will be good in rough weather. If you have to get your rod lockers out at any stage, you don't really have to worry about it falling open too far.
Yeah, and we're still debating. We might probably just put a stiffener on the door.
Fits really nicely, so. Oh, I'll just click back in. So we've gone with 3, and it follows the shape of the boat. Give you a look, it's all perpendicular to the bottom. So, and then the only other thing we've sort of did on this corner is when we cut this shape out, we had to leave it out 3 or 4mm to make sure that it's all flush with the door. So, and then behind you drill, I've sanded them off, but you drill 10mm holes in the gunnel and down the side. And George has kindly plug welded in that lip so it all sits flush, and look, it's going to look, once it's all sanded and finished up, it's going to look really nice. I've seen a lot of cool rod storage on the side of the boat, but a lot of them only fit small bait casters and small spin reels. We laid it in there, and you can actually fit all your I can fit 3 GT popping sticks and a couple of jig sticks. So we can put 1, 2, 3, 4,
and the
5.
8 foot.
Yeah, 8 foot. We can go all the way up to 8 foot in these tunnels. So we got 5 on this side. We can fit a bait caster on the bottom, then 3 massive spin reels. You can fit them with the handles on, but for traveling's sake, I'd probably take the handles off just so they don't get tangled up and stuff. But if you were storing them, like I've got them stored in the top of my car at the moment, and that's the way it's been for the last 2 years, is just on the top of the car. And I really want to get them out of the car and in the boat when I'm travelling. So we've got enough, so we've got 5 there and then 1 there, so we got that we can fit the opposite direction. We were going to put 2, but it's just a bit too cramped. So we got 5 and 1, 6 rods, and we'll do the other side soon. So we'll be able to fit 12 rods stored away, and then obviously when you're fishing, you'll pull them out, and all the rods you use for the day will sit in the back there, so you don't have to keep getting them in and out. So you'll take the rods out that you need for the day, put them on the back. So yeah, that took us way longer than we expected. We thought we were going to get 2 done in one night. We ended up getting half of 1 done in one night. So
a lot of work. Yeah,
a lot of work goes into it, but those friction hinges are awesome on the bottom.
Thanks to Sam Allen.
Massive thanks to Sam Allen. Cap off the front and then finish up all the welding, and then once the sanding goes up, it's going to look pretty unbelievable. Very, very cool looking rod locker, I reckon, all flush with the side of the gunnels.
Yeah, we're not going to do too much fab work this weekend. Concentrate on tidying up.
Yeah, lots of welding, lots of sanding. So, because next week we want to flip the boat over and do the hull. So we're going to try and finish up. Now that we got the bottom of the rod locker in, it gives us a little bit more of a stiffener so we can weld out the rest of the floor without putting any warps in the boat. That was one of the reasons why we decided to do this before finishing off all the welding. So yeah, we're going to get started on this. Like I said, we made those 2 templates for that side and they sort of fit perfectly. We had to do minor adjustments, just had to take 10 mil off the bottom and widen this little pipe section, and that fits perfectly in there. So that's ready to get put on a bit of 4 mil and cut out. This one, that's ready to go, fits perfectly on there. We just have to mark the line so it's exactly the same height on this side to this side. So we're going to draw a line across there. We sort of angled it up so any water that does get in there goes straight down the back. We'll have some holes in the back and then we'll just funnel straight out into the self-draining deck. That's our first template just there. I've just traced, I forgot to tell you, we actually do 4 mil sides and everything like that, but this base piece is actually 6 mil. So a little bit of leftover Dennis's boat, making use of the material left around the shop, but this is the 6 mil for the bottom. So I've just traced that piece on there. There's no straight edge, so we're gonna have to do, the whole thing's gonna have to be cut. So first piece down. Also chopped a little bit of that. That's for the inside of the gunnel for the lid to rest on. So I've chopped a little bit of that too. And then I'll stick this on some 4 mil. Pretty sure that's 4 mil and that should fit it there. So chop that out next. Righto, so we've got the line marked identical to the lift on the left-hand side. So we've now marked the line for the right-hand side. I've cut out all the pieces we need using the templates, and I've cut the inside lips as well using this straight edge. So I just lay this on a piece of aluminium and cut them out, and that's what we're using as our sort of our little lip inside. So I've cut one long piece for the outside, and then I've cut that piece which we're going to cut there and there for the 2 upright sections on the front and back. So that's ready to go. George is just lying in there with a bevel square, getting the exact angle we need from that side, which we're going to use from this side. So what we're going to do, this bit goes up along the gunnel there, and then we're going to have our T-piece go on the side. George just used the bevel square to get our angle.
And that's the depth that it's going to sit down and overlap that piece of the welder.
There you go. So we're going to go weld this on the bed. Get the 2 pieces. I'll show you George doing that, and it's going to be stitch weld. He does it really quick, really hot. There we go. So that's marked. That's going to sit there like that. And the 6 mil right there.
And that's our angle right there, like that.
Beautiful. So we get the welder and tack that on both sides. What are we going? What's the settings?
I'm just putting a heap of wire in it, mate. -1's plenty. 150 amps.
150?
150.
There we go. Is that just for the tacking or that's for stitching as well?
Oh, I'll probably use it for both.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to lean it back like that.
Yeah.
And it helps if we get that.
Do you want me to hold that?
Yeah, it helps if we get that pretty close to begin with.
There you go. I'll hold that.
I'll help you.
There we go. You happy with that angle all the way down?
Yep, that'll be fine. Looks pretty good. So now, that's just tacks. They're pretty evenly apart. I roughly guessed it. I've done enough tacking over the years to get them pretty close. Look on the opposite side. On this side, there's 2 tacks there like that. So I'm going to weld from there to there on this side, from there to there on that side. On the opposite side, I'm welding in the middle of those 2 tacks. So I'm marking where that weld's going to go now. So when I get going, I'm not guessing, I can just quickly hit it.
instead of doing all of them at once and having the metal warp to one side, George has just tacked half of them.
Yep.
And then go over here and do half of these ones.
No, I do the whole lot.
Do the whole lot?
Yep.
Righto.
And that's the reason why, because that first lot's held it.
Yeah.
So now it should be fine. Boom, 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 and then I'll turn it quickly and do that back half.
There you go. So that's the secret, guys. There we go. She's ready to go. So we'll tack that into the boat now. Oh, beautiful. So it stayed...
Filming that?
Yeah. It stayed perfect all the way along. Good work, George. Well done.
20 years, mate.
Righto, so we're just putting it in the boat now. And the heat puts a little bit of a bow in the metal.
But we're following that line, so we take it out, we'll pull it back straight.
Yeah, so George will start tacking in that end. I'll hold this end up. And as we get further along, we'll put more and more pressure till it meets the edge of the boat and comes up straight. So.
Follow it to about there, yeah. You've got to push in. Is that hot?
That's hot.
Oh, yeah, see? Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Won't let shit cool down.
you ready?
Gotta get it up.
Give it a bit of a knock.
Yeah. That's gotta get closed up.
Right, so we're having a bit of trouble putting this
That's enough, mate.
in because of how much it bowed with a bit of the heat. We had the same issue on this side, but this one's a little bit worse. So I knocked in, a little bit of tricks of the trade, knocked in a bit of box underneath to get it up to the line, and then we're using this spreader bar
Just with a bit of weight.
just to push it against the edge of the boat.
Right, are you ready?
Yep.
Multi grips would do the same job. More?
Yeah, more. More.
There you go.
Do that.
Perfect. Just check whether it's level. Look at that. Perfectly level between the gunnel and the side. Exactly what we want. Yeah, and then it comes 4 mil out.
From that.
Yeah. So the piece we cut earlier using the template that we made out of MDF. Is that it?
That's it.
You happy with that, or does it need
Well,
to be?
the 4 mil, I'm hard up against that little lip there.
Yeah.
But
So
that's what I say.
with this one, we've got 4 mil out from that lip because the lid's gonna sit flush with this one. That's the plan anyway.
Yeah.
And then last time we tacked this in flush.
Yep. So it'll just get pulled in, worked in
Yeah.
all the way along. That's pretty good.
So it follows the gunnel of the boat.
I sure as shit know when I weld that it's going to look like
You reckon?
Oh, well, come here. Bring your camera over here, bud.
Slice the corner.
Or pass it right here. Come
Right.
over here. Just come around the side. Down you go.
Yeah.
Cross you go.
He wants to look at the
Come
corner.
on. Cross you go. Keep going. Back up this one.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah, look. Across here.
Yeah. Beautiful. Last night we finished up probably about 11 o'clock, 11:30. This morning we got straight back into it. First job, so George has gone through with a 10 mil drill bit and drilled all the holes for plug welding. We've attached these two bits, which is just a bit of 75 mil, 75 mil wide, 4 mil deep, and we're just putting it along the side. That's our lip for our door to sit on, so George has already done that side and the back side, and then we're just working on the top. We just have to cut out these little ridges for the gussets that are underneath. So I'll just cut them 10mm deeper, and that should fit in there perfectly, and we'll plug weld that in, and then we'll start working on the door. So that's as simple as that, to get a nice finish looking exactly like that door. We used our ply template to trace out our door. We've attached 3 hinges. George is going to show you exactly what he did to attach those things. 3 hinges on there, and we're going to vice grip it to the thing, and then just slowly take off a little bit more of the top edge till it's all flush with the top of the gunnel, because it's 2 cutting edges against each other, so it's a little bit wavy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Rightio, so we just come in 80mm from the end, and then we did 3 equal spacings. The hinge, the flat side of the hinge lined up with the edge of the sheet, centre line, mark, mark, mark. That one you start off with. That's a 5mm drill and tap all in one. You can get them on eBay, they're cheap. They're the best thing ever. A little bit of wax. Line it up on the hole. Drill the hole. When it drops through, don't let it go all the way through. All right, back it out, then tap it. There it is. Best tool ever. Grab a 5mm countersunk screw. Just put your top one in first. Line it up on the bottom so it's square with the sheet. Nip it up nice and tight. And then just same process. Line up in the middle, away you go. Chuck that screw in so it holds it. The screws are a little bit long, we'll show you on the back, we just grind them off. And then when we do the final install, these will all come off, we will Loctite all these in. Back it out, straight through. That's the best tool ever. You can get them from, you can buy a pack 3mm to 10mm, and they're that good, it's not funny. We don't use self-tappers in this shop, we always pretty much drill and tap our holes. So it'll show you with the screws how long they are on the back side.
There you go.
Right, so we just grab the flap disc, knock that off so they're nice and flush, because that edge sits up against the lip that we've put in on Timmy's boat.
We made that mistake yesterday and we couldn't work out why it wasn't sitting flush. So we just installed the door, but we just put the packers in behind it. We got 3mm packers that I made. 3mm packers behind this one, so it matches the door, so we got an equal hinge. And I've made them flush with the hinge, and then also put the holes in them as well. We've just vice gripped on there so we can get a good look at the top. And as you can see, it's 2 cut lines against each other, so there's a bit of a inconsistency with how the door looks. So what we'll do is we'll go along and we'll mark a couple of the high bits with a pen and just sort of sand them down and see if we can get it a tiny bit more flush.
Yeah, I think we can actually lift it up a little bit more.
That's what we did with this side. There's a little bit of a gap on this end, but we've got pretty much even 1 to 2mm gap all the way through. But we finished up. How good does that look? We got both sides completed now. So that's all done. That's one big job out of the way. That took way longer than we actually thought originally. I thought it was going to be quicker. It was actually a lot longer, but it's all in there now. All the latches are on. Moving on to the next sort of thing. Now that these side pockets, the ones we put through here, and George has stitch welded them all underneath, acts as a stiffener. So now we're going to go along and George is going to weld all along the edge of the boat there, do some nice weld porn, and then on both sides, because that's going to stop any more dust. We've actually got a fair bit of dust been going down the sides while we've been doing all this. We got a massive cleanup ahead of us. All the welding I did the other day, all around here, there's going to be dust flying everywhere around this boat. So this is going to be the first sort of job we get ticked off. So George is going to weld all the sides, and then we're going to start sanding it all back. I'm going to start welding out 4 slots. That's my job. So you cut all these slots in to hold the floor down. So we've tacked. There you go. So George just said he slots it instead of plug welding it. It's a bit stronger and less sound on your floor. That's what he's got the machine set up at. If you guys are following along, 118 amps and wire on 2. Could vary depending on what machine you're using, but that's what he's got it set up at. George did one, I did half of one before my hands started burning and I had to put a bigger glove on. So I want to get in here and finish off all this, and while I'm doing that, George is on the outside.
Yeah, I'm going to plug weld these and go through and do what I can.
There you go. So he's cleaned it all up. So he's knocked down all the tacks, cleaned the edges up, blew it out, vacuumed it out, all prepped.
It's like painting. Like painting, you have to prep it. With the alley stuff, you have to prep it. And you can see it. Like you got to feather in all your tacks.
Yeah.
Some guys don't, and they weld over the top of them. It looks like dog.
So I'm just about to weld all that up, clean all that up, so we can get ready to put the door back on. Also, I have to sand. Yep, all the anchor weld. There's a very unique way of doing it. George told me, so I'll give you a quick little rundown. The idea is to not do what I did up here and make it so thick so that you have to sand a lot of it to clean it up. You want to just use the edge of the disc, keep it flat like so, and then just slowly work along there, just taking off the weld. And then as soon as you're touching the main metal, you're sort of moving along. So, and then instead of just grabbing the disc and then going like that, it's easiest. It's best if you do the exact same thing like that. So the idea is I sort of just stand over it and you sort of going like this along it. So you're doing the exact same thing from the top angle so that you're getting a perfect corner to corner sand that we can tidy up afterwards. So bit of a unique way of doing it, but it's definitely the best way to do it. So I'll get in, do all that. That's a big job in itself. It's coming together really soon. So next, I reckon Tuesday, Wednesday, we're looking at flipping her over.
Get the bottom finished, mate.
That's, oh, I can't wait. Well, sanded off all the tacks, sanded off all the plug welding, sanded off all the tacks of the stiffener that were underneath the seat there. George expertly rounded off the edges that I welded and sanded so that they were flush, and then George has done an awesome job of adding a radius to it, also around there as well. Looks absolutely amazing. Finish on it's unbelievable. He's done all around the steps, so that's all smooth as well, all around here. Back up this side, this little bullet piece here. We did the anchor well. Still got to do the steps inside, and this back section I've added. What we do is we sort of run a like a 45, and you do it around 3-4 mil thick, and you want to get it pretty consistent all the way across. And then George comes through and just smooths it off. I have given it a go, but I'm not as good as George, so George is just adding the finishing touches. So I run it along and give it that nice 45, and then George adds the awesome finish. We're about to use a brand new tool that we haven't used before on this build. He's just found it and it's completely broken, and he's just run masking tape around it to hold it in place. But so we're going to introduce to you a new tool on the build. There's not many tools that go into this build, so every time there's a new one I like to throw it in the bid. Give you a look at the anchor weld that he's finished up on. Nice round corner all the way through there, looks beautiful. Oh, can you focus? Starting to take shape. We're one ice box away from all the big fab work complete, and then we've got little itty bitty boxes and shelves to make after that. So this is what is this, George? Introduce us.
Just a timber router with a tungsten tip blade in it.
Yeah.
Normal palm router that you'd use on timber. Most of your timber tools will do alley, even your planers and stuff will do alley. But yeah, it's done a lot of boats this one, like pads and all. It's time to it's almost down to the screws. It's time to replace it. So it will knock a radius off that, but it will leave a sharp line. And it's just that I like to get the maximum depth out of that bit, and it's only like a 4.5 mil radius.
Oh, tell everyone what you told me this afternoon. This is only used on corners where...
yeah, where they're seam welded, so sheet like that, not corner to corner, so it takes too much of the weld out. So when the sheet is butted against it, you've got the 4mm sheet there. So you're just cutting into the 4mm sheet. You're not cutting into the weld that you've just seamed in.
Yeah. So you're not taking away any of the weld through any of that.
Whatsoever.
But giving it a really nice round finish for us. So.
But we also stitch that inside coning from underneath, so it'll eliminate any issues with that coning wanting to crack.
Yeah.
I'll give you a look at it, and what I do when I'm finished with the router is I just quickly jump on the sander and I just give that a very, very light sand. So you can see there, like, it's a beautiful radius, just leaves that tiny little lip there.
Beautiful. So you just run over it twice, you go up and back all along?
I go up, the up cuts it pretty harsh, and then I just come back with a little bit firmer pressure, and you'll get a nice clean cut like that on the back stroke.
Gee, that feels nice.
Yeah, but that little bit there, I tried coming back on it, won't take it out, so I just take that out with the sander.
Yeah. It is 10:15 and we're just knocking off for the night. Big day, another big day tomorrow, and also it's a public holiday on Monday, so George has got his kids tomorrow, so we're only going to get a little bit in the afternoon / into the night. And then Monday we've got a massive day as well, so this is going to be good. We're going to get so much work knocked over. George finished off all the routing and sanding. So we've got a nice edge there where he once again went over that outside edge as well and fixed up any little holes we had missed in the welding from the first time. All the anchor welds sanded, doors are fitted, that was today. Door on this side as well. Got the big latch back on with the 500 Newton meters of power. Well, it's actually hard to pull down. It's like, what are they? Lat pull downs. It's actually a lat pull down to get it down. It's awesome. Got the console back in just to see, because we've got to make an ice box here, so just to see how big the ice box is going to be. Everything on the back's done. He also routed the stairs as well. Got them looking awesome. So cleaned them up. We got all the welding done today. We only got one sort of major bit of welding left, which is this around the outside of the casting deck. George is going to do that tomorrow. We're going to take up this fuel void and weld that out tomorrow. That's going to be done. Going to sort out the latches for the door and also the latches for the seats, and stick the combing on them as well. That's a tomorrow job, because probably Monday, end of Monday, she could potentially be getting rolled over. It's all right.
White fender bar.
Show us what you're doing, mate. Show us what you're doing.
Alright, so I'm just going to go and make a rail to go in there. Does that look alright?
Looks beautiful, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I'm using a new tool, we've got to go over here to the new tool and like hold with me.
Just want to show everyone how you do it.
Right. So it's a pipe bender, but it is an aluminium pipe bender, aluminium formers, and I'm just bending it to about 45 degrees. Shoved it in, boom, knock it up.
Have you got a line that shows you, or you just guess?
I've got a line there when it comes to there.
Yeah, right. Genius.
Or you can put a bevel square on it. But we do a long little bend, so just put a mark on the former. And there it is. Line it up with that one. Boom, boom. And marry up like that, see?
Perfect.
So we're going to cut it so it returns into the back deck there, and then that plate is going to sit on there like that. Probably just need one. Looks sweet on those lines. That height. just going to quickly tack them in there, then I can sit the rail on and mark the angle. Tim can help me. Right, so we know that's going to run parallel. So we've just got to go around that, mark that, and then we know if I go here like that, holding my pen there, that's the angle. And my pen sticks there, that's the angle of the cut on that one. We'll cut it 6 mil bigger.
Well, there's a buzz in the air today, isn't there, George?
No.
Oh, he was buzzed before. He's acting like he's not now, but he loves it.
Hey!
Darren's back. It's been a while since you've seen him on the build. Right. Today, we've just pulled over George's homemade crane, and the boat's actually getting flipped over. So what we do is flip it over. We've got about 55 to 60 meters of welding underneath the keel on both chimes, and then you've got to attach the chimes and fully weld them, and attach the keel and fully weld that. So we worked it out last night. There's about 55 to 60 meters of welding to go, and then a lot of sanding and dressing. So big job ahead of us, but George was just sick of looking at the upside of it. So he goes, that's it, today it's going over. Yesterday we finished off the rails. You've seen us bend them and cut them. We attached a little nice piece there to go with the console down the back there. A little decorative piece of 6 mil. That's where it's going, sort of follows the inside of that back pillar there. Did that on both sides, equal. George attached the gussets down the bottom and up the front. And then we watched the NRL Grand Final and sort of had a night off, really. Here we go, just knocked the legs off the bottom, and Darren jumped in just before, forgot to clear, and just tacked on some plate. Just to keep the lid shut, just in case it pops open. Beautiful looking boat. This is the first time I've seen it in any other angle than what we've built it in. Righto, so the boat just got flipped, as you've seen, and we cleaned up all the tacks. Went along, there was all these tacks along the side, just took the sander to it, cleaned it all up, and along the centre line as well. So all this is going to get capped, so I'm actually going to get to weld all the sides of the boat and the keel, because then you put a capping over it, and then that's fully welded again. So that's where your 55 metres of welding comes in. So yeah, took all the welds off the corner, as you can see, and we're about to run a cutter through it. So not this section's pretty good, but any sections where the welding has filled it up from the inside, you just have to run a cutter through it so you get a nice purchase on the weld. And then so all here is pretty good. I've feathered in all those tacks. Down here, from about here onwards, we're going to run the cutter through there as well. Or have you already done that? Oh, okay, that one's already done. So that's ready to go. I've got to run the cutter through the other side and through the centre line. As you can see, I've taken off all the bruising and stuff that came through from the other side. So see how it's all gunked up in the middle? That's where you've got to run the cutter through and clean it all. So I'll run the cutter through there and then down this side as well. See how you've got the weld coming through from that side. So anything like that, take that off, clean it all up. And then George has set up the welder for me, all corner to corner weld. And yeah, we're good to go. So 90, 95 and the wire on 5. This machine's a little bit different to that machine. That machine you probably have to have it on 10 or something. Yeah, this one on 5 runs a little bit nicer. George wants me to tell you how it is today. It's like not too bad, it's not unbearable, but when you start sticking a welding mask and gloves and close to the welder, it's not comfy, let me tell you that. So I just finished welding out the hull of my very first boat. How's that? Took me way longer than I thought. Getting yourself into positions to get it done was way harder than I thought it was going to be, but we did it, we got there in the end. I don't think I have to touch up too much either. I think it's pretty good. Another one of Ulrich's bungs. Really good, high quality bungs. George just cut out the hole for that and is about to weld that in. So that's ready to go. Yeah, this has been all sanded back and cut in, so that's ready to get welded up down that center there, and then that'll all get sanded off flush. And then George will lay some more weld porn down there, and there, and there, and there, and then we're going to weld out around these steps like what we did on the top, and then sand them flush as well, give them a nice beveled edge. This is what we're using for a chine. What's it called? What is it?
It is actually exactly the same chine that Trailcraft used to use in WA.
Yeah, right.
But it was no longer available, so Ulrich basically did a mill run just for me. That's how good they are to me. They know that I'll use up those 250 lengths.
Yeah.
And that was about 18 months ago.
There you go. So what we've done, we've measured around the front of my boat to where it comes straight. It's about 3.3 metres. So we've measured 3.3 metres from the tip all the way back to here, and we've put a square line, and then we're running a length, this straight edge 10 mil all the way through to 30 mil, and then we're going to mark it and cut it off. So we've already done that on the other side all the way down to nothing. There we go, there's George marking it in. There you go, move that, and there it is there, from 30 mil all the way down to nothing.
And if you don't cut that taper, as you go to pull it around the boat, it'll kink.
Right.
There's no way you can get it around there full at 50 mil. Not even guys say, oh, can you heat it, can you do this? No, you can't. You've got to cut a taper, and the taper helps it follow the shape of the boat.
There you go. So we've just marked that one, that's done. And then we'll chuck this one on the bench and do this one. And then I'll get on the saw and cut them out nice and neat, and then dress them up with the sander.
Every hole that Jimmy's got, it's not a reverse chine boat. I build a reverse chine boat, but this is my own design hand-cut boat, and this is the chine that I use. And I'm happy to stay this way for two reasons. One is I know it's a dry boat, and two is there's so much welding, so this chine cap goes over what Timmy's welded, and it's welded top and bottom. So you have, realistically, you have the internal weld, the external weld there, and then the two welds on this. 4 full-length welds on that chine.
Yeah.
You're never going to split it, it's never going to leak.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, I welded the first one, so this might be the first boat that leaks on him.
Super, super strong, and hence the reason why with all my other boats, lifetime warranty structurally on that hull.
So just finished cutting out all the chimes, sanded them, made them all smooth. George did an awesome job welding out the back, so this will all have to get sanded nice and neat, sanded all around the corner step there. Installed the Ulrich bung. Looks good, and we're just about to attach the keel. What's the secret, George?
Straight.
Got to get it straight.
No secret, as long as it's straight and in the centre.
So do you just tack both sides?
Yep. Pull him down here in the centre, like that. Tack, tack, and then we just work our way along, keeping an eye on it. Make sure that's still on in the centre at the front of the boat. And if you look down that, it's got a pretty nice line down that way.
There you go.
We want to maintain that straight line right the way through. And then here, because my keel section is only 5 metre length, it's 4 mil thick too, by the way.
4 mil?
Yeah, it's a half pipe, but it has a nice little flat section there. So you can weld that in nice and hot there. And we'll just do a little join here with a 3 mil gap. We'll weld up the 3 mil gap, plenty of pano, sand it off so it looks like it's one piece. And yeah.
Righto, so that's first chine installed. Chine. I picked up a little bit and put a kink in it, but George managed to get it out just. But that's alright, it's getting hidden by added spray chine that's going on there. So yeah, a little bit of a kink there, but
Just have to be very, very careful when you put it on. I wasn't paying attention, Timmy was a bit low down that end. And if you're low, you're trying to lift it up. And the moment you try and lift it up, you'll kink it there. That's all good, it's fine. You're right, beautiful.
now what George is saying, the easier side's actually the second side, because you measure every frame from the keel down to here and then mark it, and then you'll also get a bevel square and get the exact angle so that you can put dots on the other side of for the chime, and then you just pull it down to the dot, and then you get the bevel square and you match it exactly with this side so that both sides are identical. Show us what you just did, George.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was just getting ahead of myself there. I didn't realise that furry thing had to get picked up. Well, you tell everybody what you just did.
I just cut the end off. I just cut the end cap off. That's all I did.
But you've got chines on now.
Oh yeah, we got both sides. I only just showed you the one side, but we managed to do both, and we've got them pretty much dead spot on. We even got the kink in the other side as well. Identical, aren't they, George?
Only because they're both running up high, brother.
Right, that shows you just cut a hole in that, so the recovery plate doesn't just get welded to the outside.
No, just cut a slot in there so it fits inside it.
Yeah.
It'll go inside there like that. Can only weld it here on the half pipe and then come down here and weld it to the boat here.
Yeah, right, eh?
So it's up there, across there, back down the other side.
And it's stronger like that?
Yeah, it's perfect. I haven't had one pull out yet, Timmy.
There you go. I cut little fillers and then you weld them onto a little bit of aluminium, and you stick them in about 3 or 4 mil, and then you fully fill it with weld. So I did that and sanded it back to look a bit flush. It's still got a few nicks in there, but we'll sand that back. It's just a little bit of a make-up job. So I did it for both sides and the keel, so it's fully filled with weld. You're not going to accidentally puncture it. George has just prepped all the surfaces for this, the outside combing.
And I must say, all those plate boat builders out there that want to stitch that outside combing on to turn your sign into or because a true plate boat, that combing needs to be fully welded. All the viewers will agree with me, eh? That's the first place the salt's going to sit and lay.
Yeah, this is going to be fully welded tonight. George has just prepped the surface ready for a big run. This is his little hand holding device. He sits on the ground and then he works across there to get a really, really nice run on it. So yeah, tonight I just sit back and watch the master at work pretty much. George definitely puts in the extra mile. So tonight he'll do that, and then he might even jump on the keel as well. Not sure, and then the chines. But over the next 2 nights, it's all going to be tacked and then sanded back, so feather in all the tacks and then fully welded. I actually didn't tell you because there was someone around here the other day, and I was keeping it a bit secret, but I put a deposit on a motor for this thing the other day. This is the first time you guys are hearing about this, but
I hope you can guess what it is.
write it in the comments, see what you reckon, what's going on the back here. George and I are very, very excited about it, and yeah, I'm still very, very short on the financial side of things, but I've just put it on and hope it all comes together. Yeah, and the trailer suspension has all been paid for, so that's rocking up soon as well. So yeah, everything's sort of coming together.
Yeah, so for everybody out there, Timmy didn't get the boat for free. He got a lot of people on board to help out, but he's still got to go out there and work hard, put some money down, but at the end of the day, man, he's going to have one hell of a rig.
It's going to be a wild ride, that's for sure. So if you think you can guess what motor's going on the back, write it in the comments, just so you guys know what's going on. It's now October the 10th. I put the deposit on, and the delivery date on the motor is December the 20th to January the 22nd.
Yeah, and keep in mind that everything that we've done so far, Timmy and I put our heads together and we've designed that. The basic hull shape's my hull shape, but everything else apart from that from Timmy
both
and
of us.
myself.
Yeah,
100%.
all custom as we're building it, and there's still plenty of little knickknacks to include, isn't there?
Yeah.
Heaps to come.
Yeah, wait till you see the T-top.
George has just prepped up all the keel ready to go. It's done in segments, and he's going to explain that in a second. But there was a tiny little bit that sunk down here and here, just from the bottom pulling in. To make it easier to weld through the keel, he's put a few extra tacks in the 2 bits that have sunken down, just so that it doesn't open up anymore as he goes through it and does his run. So what's the sequence that you go for in the...
Pretty much the same as what we've been doing, so there'll be a weld done there, like that. Then on the opposite side, it'll finish there, start there and come down there, and then same here, there, same this side, there, all the way through. And then come back and fill in the spots. Great, you can do one big run, but more chance of it not staying straight.
So after a couple of big days on the weld up from George, we're ready to roll it back over. I like to help out as much as I can with this build, but this is George's. This is going to be George's masterpiece that goes on the road for everyone to see. Whenever I bump into people, you'll all come and have a look at this, because George has laid down some gorgeous welding. And yeah, he's done all around the bottom, the keel, the chimes. So here you go, giving you a look. Kevin and I also got on the Scotch Guard. Is it Scotch Guard?
Scotch Bright.
Scotch Bright, not Scotch Guard, that's the spray on stuff. We got on the Scotch Bright and then finished off the hull. So we went all over the hull, cleaned up. Check out George's welding there. That's all cleaned up, all the black's taken away. And that's what it's gonna look like when it's acid washed everywhere. He's finished all down the front. He's done the chimes, both sides, the spray chime, keel, outside combing. Everything's done and everything is immaculate, so out of all of that. So George has absolutely killed it. So we're just about to flip it back over. Yeah, Kevin and I got on the Scotch Bright. And the Orby. He did the 60, 80, 240 on this, and it's come up really smooth. And then on the back section, we're out of 60, but we did 80 and 240 on the back section, just because that's really difficult to do when it's flipped up the right way because of the way the transom's angled. So here we go, halfway over. Hopefully the first and only time you ever see it, the last time you ever see it on this angle. Hey.
100%.
Today we're working on the fuel tank. George and I have been, we measured up the fuel void and we came up with a couple of numbers that gives us 401 litres of fuel. Yeah, it gives us 401 litres of fuel. Minus your baffles and things like that, might take a litre out, so about 400 litres. And then you said we're going to add, what are we going to add? A catch can.
Build a catch can for it, yep.
Yeah, a lot of boats don't build a catch can, George.
We will on this one. It's just when on them hot days your tank swells up and pressurizes.
Yeah.
A lot of guys are probably wondering why there's fuel coming out their breather, and that's the reason why. And the catch can, if you're mechanical, you know what a catch can does. So it holds that when it pressurizes and the fuel wants to come out of the breather, it goes back into the catch can, fills up the catch can and goes back into the tank, feeds back into the tank.
There you go. So 401 litres minus about 500 mil to a litre for your baffle system and that sort of thing to stop the fuel sloshing around inside the boat. And then you add a catch can, so we have just over 400 litres of fuel.
Yeah, the catch can will probably be a couple of litres. So.
Yeah. So what we've done, you can do it at home, do your measurements, but 265 by 505 by 265. So we're going to cut that off and then stick it in the bender, and that's 1500 long. So we'll do it twice. We've got 2 sheets going out of this, and then once that's all done and bend it up, we'll weld them together, weld all the baffles in, weld the end caps, and then weld it to that 4 mil. So this has been bent out of 3 mil, and then we'll weld it to, we've already cut out that 4 mil plate, as you saw earlier in the build, and then we'll weld it to the top of that. So what else do we have to do? We have to add the...
There's going to be a lot of stiffeners inside the tank too to keep it nice and straight. There's a lot of welding on the top side of the top sheet, and the tank can turn to shit because it's 3 metres long, but it'll have stiffeners inside. We'll put a couple of stiffeners on the outside of the cover plate, but they'll be only temporary. And then yeah, weld it all out, pressurise it, hopefully we get no leaks.
Sticking the 2 bits together, we thought it was a 1500 metre sheet, but it's 1500 millimetre sheet, but it was an 1850. So it's not exactly a halfway join. So we only had to cut 1150, I think it was. and then stick them together. So just to make sure this is straight, we've got it on 2 bits of bit of box for the trailer, and we sort of lined it up flush, and then we've got a bit of 50x6 flat bar, and we've packed it out so we can get it the right height all the way through, and then we've made it straight, so we've just tacked it on there like that. So all the way through she's dead straight. So we'll cut another bit of flat bar for the other side, and we'll do the same thing.
Just pull that box out of it, mate.
We'll tack that on that side, and then that should keep it dead straight. We'll give it a couple of tacks here and there, and then we're going to put it straight in the boat and make sure that we've done all our measurements correctly before we go any further. Righto, so we got the straight edge on both sides. George has just tacked it a couple of times in the middle there. Just to keep it all straight and even all the way through, we're just going to put the baffles in first before we chuck it in. Tack the baffles in before we chuck it into the boat and make sure she fits. I've just drawn a line every 500 for the baffles. Baffles are to stop the fuel sloshing up and down, so it sort of minimises the slosh. They're sort of a square piece that go in with their corners and centres cut out, so little bits of fuel can go through, but not huge lumps of fuel at a time. So George is just making up a baffle now.
Yep, Timmy's going to hole saw it all out. And he's got, how many to do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So we finished the baffles. George said that the holes are in the middle due to filling, and also that means the best weight distributions, most fuel movement is going to be going through the middle, keeping the boat as stable as possible.
It's filling, like you'll get to halfway if you just cut the corners out, and you'll start getting air in the tank. A lot of guys will be at the servo going, oh, I think I'm full, but they're only half tank.
There you go.
That's the reason why.
So we've got the baffles all the way through. I cut them out, and then we cut out little slots there, 8mm slots by about 60 millimetres, and we slid a bit of 50x6mm flat bar all the way through. And we've tacked that to the side of the tank, and then now, have a look at that. The straightness of that tank is unbelievable. So we could probably knock them off soon, eh? Or are you going to do the welding?
No, we can knock them off soon. I'll get a bit of welding done inside here. There's quite a bit of welding to be done inside there first.
There you go. So now we're putting in the breather that George has just knocked up.
Yep.
What pipe's this?
Hey?
What pipe's this?
16mm breather tube.
16mm breather tubes.
Well, all your breathers, marine breathers are 16mm.
Yeah.
Fittings and stuff.
Yeah.
A 16mm pipe.
So what we've got to do is we've got to put a couple of levels on the top.
Yeah, because we want it flush, dead flush with the top.
Yeah. Like so.
Flush.
So we'll put 3 of them along there. We'll pull it up to the side of the tank, and then we'll tack it on.
Tack them all in.
Yeah.
The pickup. That's the long one. He's going to get fed down underneath, go through all your blocks there.
And what's the pickup made out of?
10mm tube.
10mm tube.
It'll be on the bottom of the tank and then run up here in line with this one. I've put a mark in here. I measured where the outlets are going to come out of the floor.
Yeah.
So we're just going to line them up with those marks.
Is that the only 2 pipes that are going in there?
No, I'm going to run 2 breathers. So the second breather will just go in the top of the tank.
Yeah.
And then there's the pickup, the filler.
Yeah, righto.
40mm tube.
Righto.
And it's always good to space them apart. Like I've got to be able to tig around them. So like you can't have them like that close together because it's too hard to get your TIG nozzle in there and TIG it. So we'll probably spread them apart like that far.
Yeah.
So I can get around them.
And we've marked, so this is where it's getting taken out of in the boat.
Yeah.
We've got the cast deck starts here, so it'll be directly behind the cast deck, almost towards the front of the tank, so that if the boat's on a bit of an angle on the trailer, we'll get maximum fill out of this tank all the way to the top before she tells us we're full.
Yeah. So we've still got quite a bit of work to do. We've got to fit a stiffener in here for the sender, and then we've got to do a packer on top of that.
Yeah.
Like just a pad, just because we're running 4mm, we'll probably go another 4, gives us 8mm, and that'll take the sender. We've got to drill and tap that. But Timmy's bulkhead on his boat, on his cast deck's like here. These fittings are going to be behind it, and then I'm going to make a cover plate up to cover all those. So once we've got it all plumbed in and the hoses running up to the gunnels and everything, we'll make a cover plate that goes over that, so none of this stuff can get damaged when he's putting gear in and out.
We got the breather in, pulled it up to the top, mounted it flush. We got the pickup, that's all in there as well, just tacked in there. Couple little tacks up that end, little tack here, and then it sort of just floats through to the end, and then it's tacked up here as well. There you go. The breather's just tacked on the side there. I just finished marking out 42 centimetre box for the inside of the inside. Show them how it works. So I just drilled all these holes in the middle too, because this will fill up with fuel, so the holes will let the fuel escape.
It sits on the baffle like that. We weld it there, weld it along the ends. And what it allows us to do is when the cover sheet goes down, it'll have slots in it, and we'll be plug welding that to that.
So it'll be real strong.
Also on the cover sheet, because it's part of the floor sheet, it's going to have 50 by 6 flat bars running in between every bay, and we'll be measuring that out, cutting those individually, welding those in place before the lid goes on. Like that, nice and flush.
Yep.
Tack, tack, stitch, stitch, stitch on every one.
Yeah, so George has just drawn lines across where we're going to plug weld the floor or the top of the tank to the tank. So he's just run lines. It's been a long day. We had a few complications with the tank. Just had to trim one side. The fuel void is actually raised up a little bit, and we had a little bit of a wonky edge, so we had to recut all these where the floor's going to sit on. We had to cut about 4 mil off this edge and then reposition everything so it was all flush with the top again. George has done a beautiful job on the stiffeners. He's stitch welded all the stiffeners on. They're spread out, so this is where your box is going to sit, and then we're going to plug weld the box to the lid. Now we're going to put the fuel tank in, position the fuel tank evenly around the sides. Then we're going to put the lid on top and screw it down in all 4 corners exactly where we want it, and then we're going to plug weld it to the thing, take the screws out, lift the tank out, and because it's plug welded, it should be perfectly centered in the middle of our void. All the welds I put down during the day, I've sanded them all flush. That's the sort of finish you're looking for if you're going to run exactly what we did. So you have to sit there with the sander and really grind it out and make sure it's as straight as possible so that your lid fits on. So we just screwed down a couple of screws just to keep to get the plate exactly where we want it. There's a few high edges that we need to grind out with the sander.
All in all, it's sweet.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful fit. So we got it in there. There's most of them are pretty close to touching, so we're just going to stand on them, and George is going to fully weld them out. And then the ones that have got a little bit of a gap, we're going to leave, like up the top here. You've got a little bit of a gap, even if you stand on it, it's not, you can probably just get it down. But if they can't touch, we'll pull the tank out and then we'll weld it on the bench, but we'll weld as many as we can now so it doesn't break and we can get them out. And then we know that the tank and the floor is in perfect position. And then George will weld out the rest of the tank, and we know it's going to fit perfectly back in here. But it worked really well with that little door cutout. You can slide it in and out. Lucky we did that, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
George jumped in this morning, welded the chines out, so that's all done. Bowsprits, that's all done. We're flying through this list at the moment, so ticked off a few more things. Just about to sand over the top of this. So while George works on the tank, he's got to weld out around the tank, and then we'll pressure test it
And fit it back in.
So yeah, I'm just going to get into this, rip all the shiny coat off with the 60. Make sure to use plenty of wax when you're doing this. The sucks. We've got a few sucks in them, but not too bad. There was a big one there, but we got it out. Once you go over it with this, you'll see where the bruises are, and then I'll get the flat disc and just grind them down a little bit more just to save some time. And then I'll go through the whole boat and really make sure it's all looking smick. So, what have you done, George?
Chuck some stiffeners on, Timmy.
2 stiffeners, so...
Just on that edge, see that edge underneath? It's only 30 mil.
Yeah.
Right underneath the tank.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Righto. So I'll flip this over, put this on its back, and George can get going.
The leaks we might have to patch up, Rod. Big tank, a lot of air. That's about right. Right there. You can hear it and feel it.
Oh yeah.
Woo, bud!
Is that the only leak?
No, you can delete that.
What do you mean?
You don't want to show people leaks, bud.
Oh, you can't get everything perfect. This is George's system. He's got clamps and hoses on there and welds the end. Keep them shut, and then you plug the air hose into there and slowly turn it in. That's the pressure test. This is not the sender for the tank, but it's just, we've just got one there to go, and then mine will turn up next week or the week after, and we'll put the actual sender in. My console goes over the top of here and back up like that, so that'll be hidden underneath the console, which is awesome. So we just finished spraying the entire tank with detergent, and you can see we got a little hole here.
Well, it's not a hole, it's just on the restart. There's the restart.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So we'll put the grinder and fix it, and one tiny one that's leaking out real tiny bubbles
On the restart.
on the restart again. So 2, and there was about 3 or 4 on the top, on the lug, on the, what do you call it, plug welds.
And a little tip, if you do a tank and you happen to fit it and then find out later on that it's got a little seep somewhere, there's a little secret. You get a centre punch, and wherever it's seeping out, just hit it with the centre punch, bruise it over. So if you have any guys out there have drums with tanks that are just a little seep, and you're not confident to weld it up yourself, or somebody else take it to somebody else and they say, no, we're not going to weld it. Just bruise it with a cold chisel or a centre punch.
Last afternoon, we've been going on the boat for about 2 weeks now. Little bits and pieces getting done. George jumped in and did some welding this afternoon, laid down some weld point, as he likes to call it, up underneath the front cast deck. He's still got to finish around the edges as well, so up under there. So still got to do the edges, and we've got to tack some end plates in that I made up the other day. We got the hinges on the lids, so we just need to install the latches, and they're all good to go. So probably send them off and get them all cushioned up soon. There are just the friction hinges from Sam Allen. There we go. So hard to lift, but they stay up wherever. So yeah, got 3 on each lid. That way, jumping in and out of the boat, we kept slipping on those lids. No longer, they are fixed. George this afternoon was all gung-ho about making up a backrest. So we came up with a shape we liked, just mucking around. This was model number 2, and we were happy with it. So what's going to happen is this is going to sit like so. It's going to sit over the top of that rod holder right there, and then you'll have a pipe that goes inside that pipe that holds it in place, so it just slides in, removable. So that's what it's going to look like, sort of got a nice lean back to it, and George is going to make up, instead of just using pipe, he's actually going to make up, what'd you call it? Like make up your own box out of 3mm and run it through the centre, so it's actually a nice bar, and we'll put some Evertread or some sort of cushion on the back of it. But instead of just going the normal pipe backrest, we sort of going with something and then going something else. So we'll put one on this side. I'm about to cut out 4 of them. Put one on this side, and fill it in, and the pipe will be hidden in the middle, and then it'll go down into that pipe, and then one on this side, same thing. Chucked that on a bit of 4mm plate just there, and I'm about to cut out 4 of them. Then we've got to work out what sort of pipe diameter is going to fit inside there for up inside, run it straight down. George is over here working on the other section of it. So this is going to be the what he bends. So bend up the bottom, bend up the bottom, bend up this, and then weld it through the centre.
2 pieces like that, and we weld it there.
Taking credit for this design, which he did. He didn't want something looking normal on the boat. He wanted something that looks out of the ordinary, so that's what we're going to do. And hopefully we can sort of make something similar to this, that the T-top will look similar to that. Yeah. What do you reckon?
That's awesome, boat, eh? What do you reckon?
George and I have made probably arguably the coolest looking custom plate boat seat. And let me just run over and grab something real quick. I was just finishing it. So let's grab this rod here. A rod, one of my old rods I gave to George to have. 2D black, 5 to 8 kilos, so perfect on the nannies. George is stoked. We actually made, so we finish off this seat. I cut out those 4 pieces for the pillars. George got a bit of rod tube and ran the cutter through it so it slots in absolutely perfect. And then we've just stuck that into the rod tube, put it on the outside. We put 2 packers in the top and bottom. That was that piece that George cut out, chucked in the 2 pieces he cut out, chucked in the bender, and then welded together, and we've just stuck it through, and it takes up 2 of our 15 rod holders, which we don't need 15 anyway, so this was always the plan to have a seat that slotted into it. We were just wondering how to make it look cool, and I think we've come up with that, how it's going to really suit the console and everything. And the best part about it is it doesn't remove any of your rod holders. Your rods still sit perfectly behind your backrest. What do you reckon, George?
We made a little boo-boo with the hinge. We're just going to offset the hinge.
Yeah.
We didn't realise we had the hinge in the centre, and when we fabbed it up, well, this was an afterthought after the hinges were there, so we're just going to plug them holes up, move the hinge over to there, and it's going to make no difference.
Really happy with that. We're going to cut out a bit of 43 mil wide 3 mil, and we're going to tack and bend it all the way around.
Turn that into a nice solid pillar.
Yeah, and then we'll weld it, sand it back so it's all smooth.
Ready? Watching?
Oh, that's beautiful. That was a work of art.
Oh dear.
This is the first time Drew's made an appearance in our build.
G'day, Drew.
I'm out of it.
Woo, bud. We're back on now.
I'm a secret
We just
welder.
had a little bit of a banter and a
Secret
bitch.
welder. See all these boats in here? These motherfuckers, they got 1 boat. I've got 3 of these boats. I'm pushing this out tomorrow. I've done this on all my own.
High five, brother.
And look at this one. They can't get 1 out of the shed. That one too. Even that one. That one's boats are going out. That one.
Whoa!
3 boats I've been doing. 4, actually, if I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just started that one because I'm, pushing this on it.
We're pretty much in the final stages. This final stage is going to take a long time, but we're in the final stages of the build. We've only got icebox and T-top for all our big custom work, and then shelving and fit out inside the cast deck. But final stages in terms of George is going through the boat now, welding up anything that needs to be welded. So he's starting at the back and moving to the front. And as he does that, I'm coming through behind him and getting into the sanding. So yesterday I did my first lot of sanding. I'll give you guys a look at that soon, but Jeffy gave me a good rundown on how to get the boats looking as smick as possible. So during the day, now I can do the sanding, and then at night time we work on any of the welding with George after his work, and we get into it. So just going to start at the back with George last night finished off the last bits of the welding for this. So welded up the rails, gussets, 2 little lugs here and on the other side. This morning he got in and stitch weld up underneath the rod storage at the back there. Didn't need to be fully welded because that actually needs to drain, so any water, rain or anything that goes into this can just flush straight out the back. So just stitch welded the back there. So my job now is to start the sanding. So I have to fix up, use the normal grinding sander that we've been using to do this. George showed me how to do it with that single edge there. I've done it all inside the boat for the fuel tank, but I'll finish this one up for our little cover plate that goes on here to check where the engine belts go. So I'll have to finish that off. And then brand new machine, you haven't seen it yet for the build, but we've got a snap-on compressor air orbital. We've got 60 grit on there at the moment. So these are the three that you use. So we got 60 grit, 80 grit with the soft pad, and then you finish it off with 240 with the soft pad. So, and then it brings it up really nicely. I'll give you a look. Yesterday I spent probably about 5 hours on the console alone. So it takes a fair bit of time to get all the little scratches out. There's a fair few scratches in the console just because we've been dragging around heaps. So it actually took really, really long time. And then I had to fix up a few little cracks that appeared in the welds. I had to put the grinder through it and then re-weld them and sand it back. But comes up, I wish you could feel how nice that feels, but comes up absolutely beautiful. So console is now complete, ready to be fitted. We are going to weld the icebox onto the front, but we'll do that a bit later. There you go. So George just threw me that. I don't know if I've explained to you during the build at all, but with aluminium, it clogs up all your sanding discs and stuff like that. And we use this welding wax from a welder's shop. It's just normal wax, dry wax. And what happens is that actually lubricates the disc. So if you want to go a little bit deeper, or you want to get a bit more metal out, use a little bit of dry wax on your pad. Just give it a bit of a touch, and then it'll take it a little bit deeper. It's really nice lubricant. And then this one bought from the welding shop doesn't actually affect the weld. If you're sanding something and there's wax on it, you can actually weld up over the top of it, and it doesn't really affect it. Every now and then, while you're sanding, every like minute or so, just touch it with the wax just to lubricate your pad up, and then you just go over it until it's all, one consistency and all your deep scratches are gone. Anything from the grinding discs are all one level. Righto, so George and I have been at it most of the night. You've seen it on a previous episode, but how to do the rod holders. We cut these ones on a bit of an angle. The last ones we didn't cut on an angle, but these ones we did, for the reason that they're going in the gunnels. So we've got 5 going up each side because 15 at the back's just not enough. So we've marked out where they're going to go. So I've marked out they're about 90 mil in from the side. These back ones we cut at 30 degrees. And we're going to set them at about 45 degree angle. So they can be used as like a trolling rod. I haven't done a lot of trolling, but you never know. So we're going to set them a little bit steeper, give them a bit more of an angle so that they sit in nice. We'll have one out either side. You can troll using these ones at the back as well, but
you've got them set in a perfect position, mate. You're driving here.
Yeah.
Rod's in there. Rod goes off.
Done. Look at that. So we're going to set them up for trolling, and then these ones we're just going to set up at the normal. We cut them at 15 degrees rather up here. So yeah, put the pin in it. You would have seen in that last previous episode that we did all that. You tack them in, that sort of thing. We showed you how to do it. And then these ones will just kind of go straight out like that, won't they?
Yeah, they're only really useful when you're jigging and you catch a fish, somewhere to put your rod when you're unhooking the fish, yeah?
Yep. Sort of pre-drilled the holes where they're going to go, and I'm going to go grab a hole saw and then send it, and then you get a burr grinder and you sort of grind it out to make them fit that oblong shape on top.
Just sit it on there like that, backwards, like that, in the centre of your hole, draw it around and burr grind out that mark.
There you go. So you want a corner to corner weld on it?
Come up from underneath, corner to corner.
Yeah.
I like to weld them from underneath as well, but we're going to struggle with that one. We might just get a little bit on one side. And these ones up here are going to be probably a mirror job.
Just adding in, one of the jobs we've got to do is add a motor mount. So this is going to be the electric motor mount. I don't actually have a motor mount coming for it, but it's always good to have it installed just in case. Yeah?
Yeah, mate.
Sweet. So the idea, George come up with this real nice that's going to flow into the boat. So he's made it really long. Then you add the sides. So we've tacked that bottom section in, add the sides up a little bit higher than the gunnel. And then side down to here, and then we'll run the same curve back to about here or here, and then straight up to there, and it'll look really nice.
Weld that beautifully.
Yeah, it'll look really good. So And then all corner to corner welding, sand it off, and she'll look smick as. All we did is put a bit of MDF, sheet of MDF, and then just marked the gunnel, cut it out to how we wanted it to look, and then George just cut it out and we've tacked it in. So all fabbed up, took us an hour.
Not even.
Yeah, just under. Ran with the one bore, one piece on top, but because we got a bit of a curve in the deck, we had to sort of make a cut through here, which will weld up and smooth off, so you won't even tell it's there, but ran a cut through. This is 6mm plate, so you got real purchase on when you put the motor mount on. It's something really sturdy. And then we were gonna have a corner, but we ran a nice curve here, so it looked weird with another curve, and then a corner. So we cut a corner on this one, so it's really nice. And then we just got a bit of soft 3mm, and then we just bent it around. So when it's all welded up corner to corner and then sanded off, it should look really slick. And then we'll sand it all off, match the boat.
Looks good to me.
Yeah, it looks sick. So whole idea is that the motor sits here and then the shaft runs straight down the gunnel there, so we can mount a little spigot, and George makes a nice little motor shaft mount that goes in here, and then you just strap your shaft down to, so that when you're doing 80, 90k an hour, it's not bouncing around.
100k an hour.
You reckon, George?
Yeah, we'll get it done.
New shape, never done one like that before.
No, definitely not, mate.
There you go. Put it on the list. Well, here we go. Back on another night on the boat. It's been a little bit since we've done the last one. Just been fixing up a few bits and pieces. I've been getting into sanding. I've completely sanded the sides in 60 and 80 with the soft pad. So the sides are ready to get the wrap put on. That's pretty much the finish of that. And then inside the anchor well, we added in a plate for a winch and then thicken that back wall up. So that's a 10mm plate up there, and we got 6mm plate there that's all been welded in, ready to take a winch. Welding, sanded all the inside with 60, all the inside of the combing and everything like that. But anywhere where there's going to be penetrol, we'll need 80 with the soft pad, then 240 with the soft pad, give it a really nice finish. Anything that's going to be covered, like just anything that's going to be covered will only need to be sort of with the 60 grit and then the 80 with the soft pad like that. But yeah, finished off. We welded out the seat and then sanded it off so it all looks smick, so I still have to sand that. Lots of sanding to do. So tank's been pressure tested and refitted. Screwed that all in. It does need to come up one more time. New sender in it, that needs to be Sikaflexed, and then all the tank needs to be Sikaflexed once it's in there. And then that front hatch has been temporarily screwed. George, why'd you put so many screws in it?
Titanic hatch.
I marked the screws every 50, and we probably didn't need to do that. Every, 80 to 100 probably would have been better, but there's enough screws in there to hold the whole boat together. Yeah, started fitting a few of the latches. We're starting to get to the end of it. That side all needs to be finished sanding. Been up to a few other things this week, and also George has been finishing off some nice new boats that are going out next week. So I didn't want to put too much sand dust through the shed while he's fixing those last ones up. So penetrolling, acid washing, trying to keep everything clean. Once you sand a boat, there's just dust going everywhere. So it's all worked out well, but we're back into it tonight. What do we got on the ice box?
Your design, mate, your height, 500mm high.
Yeah.
50mm thick, insulated.
There you go.
Skin.
This is 3mm.
All 3mm. Start keeping the weight down now.
Yeah. So there you go. So we've marked 500 for 500 high. We've put some bends in it to follow the shape of the console.
45, yeah.
So what we're going to do is cut this out, bend it up, and then we'll do exactly the same for the inside, but in 50mm. And then you add all your insulation. We'll weld it to the console. We'll probably put, what do you reckon, 50mm around the bottom so that you said nothing can get underneath it.
Yeah, but you got to remember we're insulating the bottom 50mm too.
Yeah. So it's not going to be a massive ice box, but just enough to hold a feed.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of nannies, a couple of cold trout straight in the ice box. So
You
yeah.
only keep 1 or 2 fish, mate, don't you?
Exactly. I'm not feeding the whole village. Just marked out that. We're going to cut that straight off right now, bend it up, do the inside box, and then we're going to weld it to the console.
A lot of the fab work's got to be done on the console, so we'll bend it, we'll cut the angles so it butts into it, and then we'll probably bring it back to the table and we'll cut out where our feet are going to go, where the little cutout's going to go to let shit go underneath it, and then it's cut a false bottom, put the bottom in, and then foam it, foam the bottom, foam the sides, front of the console.
And then what about a drainage tube?
Yeah, we should be right with that. We should be able to put the inner skin in and hole saw right through the two skins and run the tube through for that.
Righto, so we can do that later.
That shouldn't be an issue.
Sweet. Righto. Righto, we'll get cracking on this, cut this out, bend it up, and then get on the other one, and we'll show you when we're starting to tack it to the console and do that sort of thing. So we'll cut out this and then the inner sleeve and get back to you. Just cut and bent up the box and added in a floor about 30 mil up. So the next step is to do another floor 50 mil up from that, which George has cut out. For some reason we're meant to finish right sort of 10 mil in from the corner, and we finished like 40 mil in on each side. So I'm not sure how we ended up with that, with the measurements we got, but strange things are happening tonight, isn't that right, George? That's our first sheet over there. Bender just went haywire. Foam goes in, sheet goes on top.
And then it gets tacked to the console. And then we make everything from there. The inner skin, foam out the sides, the inner skin.
There you go. So you want me to get some foam from up there? From out of Dennis's boat.
Can I tack at least?
Yeah, okay. There it is, bottom sheet all tucked in. We've got our 50 mil of foam. We're just using the same foam that we use to fill out the boat, because this one doesn't catch a light or melt when you weld around it, which is good. So there it is there, 50 mil of foam in the bottom there for our insulation.
Knife.
Cut the knife off, give it a bit of a sand, and then we're going to be tacking that to the icebox. Icebox is done. We've left a thicker gap than 50 mil at the back here, just because when the lid and the hinges go on it, you want the lid with the foam pad to be able to come up and lean back against the console here. So we've made it a bit of a bigger gap. So what we did is we sort of, because the console's on a slope, we've made the back piece perpendicular. So it starts at 50 mil at the bottom and it comes up to about 120 at the top. And then we've just packed it full of foam there. So we'll be welding on a piece on the top there. George has just cut all the pieces for around the box, and now we're going to cut out all the aluminium strips for the inside, tack them in and weld them all in so it's fully sealed and ready to go. So last night we finished most of the box. We got it all tacked up, all the foams in there ready to go. Tonight we're bending up the lid. So we'll bend up the lid as if it was square, and then you can't really bend the corners, so then we'll have to cut it and remake the corners. So this is the box all finished. Ended up to be about 120 litres. So it's actually a fair size. It's not long, so any big long Spanish or anything like that, you might have to fill it or cut it in half before you put it in there. Any cold trout, any reefies, or any standard size fish will go straight in there. Tonight we just measured up the width of it and the length of it. We're going to bend up the lid, bend it down 50 mil, 55 mil for the foam to go in, and then you bend it 20 mil along the bottom as well. So, and then you leave this end open, don't you?
Open so it hinges.
So that you can slide the foam in as well. You don't bend the 20 on that back end.
Oh no, we'll bend the whole thing. You'll be able to work the foam in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So we'll work the foam in, and then there's going to be a bit of a gap at the back. Weld some hinges on. Might be a cover plate for electrics going there. Might even put some sort of foam padding back, so it just brings it out a little bit, bring it off the ground a bit, and run like padding across the back, just so that so there's not so much of a gap if someone's sitting on it and leaning back against the console.
We can do a panel there, cushion on the panel, and just drill and tap the panel so the panel comes off with the cushion on it.
There you go. So
that'll work.
Yeah, all stuff that we can figure out later on, but tonight we'll just bend up this lid. We'll jump in. This is the sheet all drawn up. You've seen how to do this on the previous vids. Cut the corners off, and then you cut out that little slot there, and then this gets bent 90, bent 90, bent 90. So 3 90 bends.
Yeah, that's how it's going to look, like that. And then it's going to look like that when we bend it. The foam will go in here. And we'll just sheet that off in there and stitch weld it around.
There you go. So we'll cut that out now, stick it in the bender up, and then fab up the corners and start putting everything in it. There we go. So this is our lid upside down. We've just fed all the foam in there. There it is there. Save some sheets. We just cut it out of a bit of spare blocks we had and just fit it in there nicely. George just cut up a panel that we're going to slightly slip in underneath, because there's a bit of room, be able to slide it underneath either way and be able to fit it. And then you sort of centralise it. Nice weld around the edges, hey George?
Yeah, stitch weld it in, mate, that's all it needs.
Yep.
Getting it in's the thing, so I'll need a hand, mate.
Righto, so that's the lid, that's the box, here we go. Gonna help George get that in.
Physically, it looks like it's impossible. And we might have to trim a bit more off that edge, because it looks like
So just stitch weld that in, and then we do all corner to corner welding, all nice, neat welding around the outside of that, and she's finished up. What do you reckon?
put a few tacks on it.
Yeah.